boys and girls, welcome back to my channel. My name is Piper. I just wanted to say hello. I'm really excited. Today it has been very rainy and kind of icky, so don't mind my hair a little bit. But I really could not wait to show you what I got in the mail. Now I know most YouTubers have probably already reviewed this palette, and I kind of put it off because it retails for $52. But the last week I've had walking pneumonia and a severe sinus infection, so I have been kind of loopy, and during that week I made several makeup purchases that I don't remember. Seriously, I don't remember. So it was about $200, and this palette happened to be in that mix of things that I have bought so randomly while I was sick. So I figured I would go ahead and spend some time with you guys and tell you what I think about it and share, my experiences. Is it worth $52? I don't know. So do you know what we're talking about? We're talking about the Naked Heat palette. Obviously, super excited about this palette by Urban Decay. I've never owned anything this expensive, this palette. So anyway, that's what we're going to be talking about today, is the Urban Decay Naked Heat palette, and I'm super excited to share it with you. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, boys and girls, so kind of have an idea of what I want to do for this video. I'm going to show you different looks that I'm going to create throughout this week. It is Monday, and I've had a full work day already, and this is my first look that I've created for this week. Now I've actually I've already worn this palette twice, but I did it quickly, so I didn't put a lot of oomph into it. Today I didn't put a lot of oomph into it either because I didn't have a lot of time, but hopefully it's going to change as I keep going. I'm sure y'all have seen probably a bajillion different types of makeup tutorials, and if you want to see a makeup tutorial on this, then I would be more than happy to provide it. But I figure you would kind of get an idea of the different kinds of looks that you can create with this palette. Please don't mind the kitties. And so I'm going to check in with you the rest of this week. I don't know if it's going to be 5 days, 7 days, I don't know, something like that. Let's see how many looks I can create, and I'm going to come back and check in with you and let you know how it went and how long the makeup is lasting. This has been a full work day. I actually got up and I started putting my makeup on at 5 a.m. and it has lasted this long. Now, given my foundation has kind of come off, I did add a little bit more bling under here and touched up my powder around my face, but other than that, I did not touch up my makeup. The eyeshadows have stayed pretty consistent, and you can kind of tell. To get an idea, they do stay, and we're going to talk about that as the week goes on. So anyway, so let's kind of get an idea of what the palette looks like. So it comes in a package like this, and I really like it. I think it's kind of cool, but when you look at it, you're like, wait a second, I thought I just bought a bunch of reds. And I have these green eyes, so I need the reds to make me pop. Don't be alarmed, this is not the color of the palette. Now, given I thought it was going to be a lot brighter, and when I've seen Nikki Tutorials do her makeup look, it seemed a lot more red than it really is. So I will say that one's a little bit different than I would expect, so when you buy it. But again, this is the back part of it. I don't know if any of y'all have actually bought any of the Urban Decay palettes before, the Naked palettes. I have not. I feel like it's absolutely insane to spend that much money on a palette, but I really wanted this one because these are the colors I really love, and they're hard to find, like a burnt orangish red that make my eyes pop. That's still on the brown side and not like a crazy pink or a purple. That always makes my eyes pop. So I was really excited about this. I wasn't gonna buy it until I saved up, but unfortunately, well, fortunately, I ended up getting it anyway. So this is what it comes out. It comes out of the box like that. and then obviously like the matches and stuff. I think it's really awesome packaging. The packaging is really nifty. I don't know if they all come in packaging like this, but I really, really liked this. It definitely seemed like they put more effort into it considering it was $52. And this is what the packaging looks like. Absolutely gorgeous. It is a sturdy plastic. So it doesn't, I mean, it feels like plastic, so I guess plastic can feel cheap, but it definitely seems a lot more sturdy than all other palettes that you might pick up, and more effort put into it, I guess. So this is what it kind of looks like, and not kind of, this is what it looks like. And then when you open it up, it has a really good mirror, actually. I really like this mirror. I love that it is not one that's, have you ever seen those mirrors where it's like wavy or whatever? It's a cheap mirror. Well, this is definitely not that. It's actually a really nice mirror, and it's really helpful. I like it. It comes with this brush right here. I like it. The only problem that I have with it is this one isn't a flat one that I would think you would really want for the metallics that come in this package, in this palette. But it's really good for under the eyes, for smoking out the bottom, I guess. But I definitely use a lot more of my own brushes than this one. Now I have used this one, and I do like this side of it. I really do. But I mean, considering I paid $52, I would expect something that I would feel like I would use a lot more. On the Modern Renaissance palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills, I know that I do use that brush a lot more than I would with this one. I know the end on this one is much shorter, obviously. But I mean, I like the idea of it. I just don't use it. I haven't used it as much. So this is the palette. This is what you get. Obviously does not look as red as you would think it would be that you've seen before, but the big complaint that you see online is that there's not a lot of differences in the colors and not a lot of looks that you can create with it. Now, I can tend to agree with that because I am wearing several different ones of these colors today. I used this sauced one right here in my crease today, and then I used He Devil all over my lid, and then I followed up with Ashes on the corners, on the outside corners. You can kind of tell. Underneath I used Dirty Talk. You can tell I've went right along my line of my my lashes, my lash line, and out to the side you can see how it is lighter. I do have a little creasing that has lasted at near the end of the day now, but again, I did put the metallic on the bottom and went out with it. And then obviously I used the Once on the top to kind of fade it out. I mean, what I will say is that they do blend together really beautifully. They blend very nicely. But again, I guess this is why most people say that it's probably going to be very difficult to find different types of looks because they are so similar. For example, if you put Dirty Talk on top of He Devil or Cayenne, which I have done before, they tend to blend together, so it doesn't really pop that much. So I guess that's what they're saying, is you need to have more differences in the colors so that it can pop and you can have different looking eyeshadow looks. But so far this is kind of what I've been coming up with. They're still beautiful colors. And definitely ones that are difficult to find out there that are really good. Now, something that I found while using this palette, and sometimes I've noticed with only a few shadows do I put powder on top of it, and then I use the eyeshadows to obviously set the powder first and then use the eyeshadows on top. But most palettes I just put it right on top of the primer or whatever I'm using. Sometimes I use a concealer as a primer as well. And what I found was these needed to not go over powder. You put them straight on the concealer itself, or whatever that you have, the eyeshadow primer, and it sticks and it's still blendable. Unfortunately, it doesn't, you have to take a couple of different swipes to go through, then just like any other thing, to blend it out and for it to actually hit everything and then have more of a wow factor. I'm sure you've seen those in videos before, but again, I don't really have a lot of complaints with this palette. I just feel like the effort that I've had to put in so far using it on top of the concealer or a primer without setting it was the same kind of work I've done or used with like a $10 or a $5 palette. And the same thing goes for setting the primer. So either way, it felt the same. Now, they're highly pigmented, and I really love that. I mean, we're gonna kind of go through them, and I'm gonna show you what they look like. So we have 1, 2, 3, and then again we're gonna have 1, 2, and then 3. Now there's not a ton of fallout, but obviously there is fallout with these because that's typical of any eyeshadow palette, but not like a ton. Not a ton of fallout, nothing to be scared of really, nothing to worry about. I do like that about it. And then we're gonna go back in with Dirty Talk, Scorched, and Cayenne. So we have Dirty Talk, Scorched. Now I find that the metallics of this palette are way buttery, first of all, super buttery, and much better than the mattes, believe it or not. And usually so we have En Fuego here, Ashes, and then Ember. But I find that the mattes of most palettes are not, I mean, those are the strong ones. This one's a little patchy, it looks like. It's really not. It goes on really nice. I have dry arms, so this doesn't help. I feel like the metallics are a lot more pigmented than the mattes, you can tell. I think they pressed these really well, so you don't get a tons of kickback. But if you look at the colors, they are really true to what they look like in here, obviously. Okay, so you kind of get the idea that they really are true to color. The metallics are beyond gorgeous. Obviously, please ignore this one. I kind of messed it up. But what I will tell you is that these two are really not very patchy. It is my arm. I didn't put a primer. I didn't put anything on them. And you can tell that if you do have dry skin, they do go on very well. But if you notice in the middle of my arm where the metallics are, I'm actually a lot more hydrated than down by my elbow or up here, so you can kind of tell how they go on much better. So think about it. So if you set your primer or your concealer that you're using and then try to do your colors on top of them, you can think about it and see how it wouldn't really blend as well. I mean, you could get it to blend, but you'd have to definitely build up, and I'm not a big builder upper. I tend to go big or go home and then blend out afterwards because that's how I work. Apparently then I would have done really well with the Subculture palette, but it was just a little too patchy and questionable for me. But anyway, so back to this. Gorgeous palette, obviously beautiful, and there really is a difference in the colors. It looks different than it is in here. They match, obviously. But if you take like the Lumbre, this one right here, is a little bit more pinky outside than it is actually in the pan. So you can do a lot more with it, and I'm going to play with it as we go on. But I'm going to tell you right now, I am amazed at this palette because it's gorgeous. I love it, don't get me wrong, but $52 for a palette like this when it feels like a palette I may have paid $20 for, and I mean, I don't regret buying it all. But I don't know if I would pay $52 for something again. I really wanted the colors, and that was the only reason why I didn't kind of take it back because it was really difficult. I kind of swallowed and I was taken aback because I made the purchase and I'm sorry, I did what? What? So I have a lot more coming, obviously, to do videos on. But again, I really love this palette. I do. I really like it. I'm going to keep updating y'all the rest of this week and show you some looks that I can come up with these colors and see how that will work out. So far, I really like them. Like I said, it is 5 o'clock in the afternoon right now, and I've had this makeup on for 12 hours now, and it's stayed. So I'm actually really excited about that, and I can't wait to see what other things I can come up with. So I will check back with y'all soon.